Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Trade Genius podcast. Bob has a stock pick for you guys. You're not going to want to miss this one, so let's get into it.
Trade Junius.
All right, Bob, so what is the stock pick for this episode?
Yeah, so I get a lot of questions, in our room, and also, comments that you get from our podcast, and we talk natural gas a lot. People say, "Well, what can I buy? What can I buy? What can I buy?" UNG is really volatile, and also has some weird contango components to it that make it hard for it to go up, even though natural gas goes up. Doing natural gas futures, Phil, is a widow maker, and that's what they literally call it
Yeah.
because it's so violent and it's hard to trade even for the best traders. You have to be really good and know how to hedge and all that good stuff. But
Right.
there is one stock that's really stable and that also has options on it weekly, and it's a trade that actually I've been doing for my daughter in her account for quite some time. And I want to throw it up at you guys, and I'm going to explain the strategy to you. And it's Southwest Energy. Okay, SWN is the symbol. And what you're looking at here is a daily chart. And the reason why I like it so much is people get frustrated when they say, "Oh, the stock's not trending." Okay, but when you have a stock that has weekly options and doesn't trend, it's like stealing. Okay, and what you do is, and everybody can do this. Everybody can get what's called level one options, which means you can write cover calls against your position. Okay, and all a covered call is you could sell a call option below, at, or above the current price of the stock out into the future and collect a premium. And your only downside to that trade is that if the stock continues to move up through that strike price that you pick to collect the premium, is you have to give the stock up at that price, at some point in time, to the expiration. Normally they go to expiration. Sometimes they'll take it from you a little early, but most of the time at expiration. And so you really don't lose anything. You just lose upside potential. But if you have a stock that you like and believe in, which I do at Southwest Energy, but it's not really going anywhere, you just simply and it's such a cliche, but you buy low, sell high. And then so you say, okay, well, how do I do that? Well, you obviously have to form a support and resistance areas, and a little bit here. If you don't use our service, you can use linear regression channels for that. But if you use our service, we have what's called a range trader, where you see the gray bars and the blue bars. It's establishing Fibonacci ranges for the shares. And then inside of that, you see these blue and black lines. Those are trend bands. It's another way in which we can detect movement and momentum of price action that's not price action. But it gives you a good analog as to a safe way to enter or exit a trade. In this case, when to sell a call and when to then close that trade off and let the stock price run again and rinse and repeat. So what I want to do here, Phil, is just to kind of explain people what I simply do. And so I like to do these trades every Monday, 2 weeks. So not every Monday. I guess I should have said that differently. Every 2 weeks on a Monday, I like to put a trade out for expiration for a following Friday, 2 weeks. So like we just rolled into the 28th. So I'd be putting on, and I sold calls for the 9th of December. So it gives me 2 weeks of premium, and I only do it if the price is in this range. So it may not be today that I do it. I may have to wait, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for it to hit, and then I look to make sure I have at least one expiration between me setting that trade and it expiring. And so what we do here is see, it's another way for us to cheat at Trade Genius, is that trend band allows me to set an alert. Okay, and so when I'm looking at Southwest Energy, and this is an hourly chart, is that when I see a blue, right, where it's showing the trend band is going from a sell mode to a buy mode, is that if I have sold calls on before expiration, I just simply close them, Phil. Okay, and then I just let it run until I get a black line. Okay, when I get the black flowing, I'm going to get an alert that says put on sold calls. And what I've been doing here, the range is between basically $6. It was 6 and 7 for a long time, and now I just raised that range from 650 to 750. We're starting to get some slight upward bias to the stock, and so I sold 750s against it already. Okay, and now I'm sitting letting it go down again, and I'm just going to wait for the black to turn blue, and then I turn off my solds again. I pocket that premium, and every time you pocket premium, you're lowering your cost basis for Southwest Energy. And I have to look specifically, but I'm probably under $4 now for this shares that I own. And actually, it's my daughter's 2,000. She gives me permission to trade her account. Is that so? I've just been trading 2,000 shares from her, on and off now for the last couple months, and it's just a simple way to trade shares, especially when it doesn't start trending. And if it starts trending again, you simply just step aside and let stock price move. The trend, that's the beautiful thing about the trend band. The trend band will let it trend. And I have this trend band set, Phil, for 11, in case you're curious what I have it set at. Okay, I like to take my trades on 4 hours. I like to look at the trend band for 1 hour for confirmation. In this case, I know we're just in a range here for whatever reason. Even though natural gas prices are moving up, Southwest Energy isn't, but I don't care, because in less than 2 years, this stock will cost me nothing to hold. And in the meantime, I've probably put, I don't know, $7,000-8,000 per 1,000 shares in my daughter's account. So it's a really simple trade. You can find any trade out there like this, and this is how you trade and how you do covered calls. And for those of you guys that are already customers and listening to this, in our library section, I'm going to be writing up the strategy for you guys how to do this, and I'm going to stick it in the library, and you guys can have it for your own, because I believe the basic and the advanced indicator both have trend band capability, and you guys can just go ahead and really set it up to anything that you like to trade. I personally like to find stocks that have weekly options on them because it gives me more flexibility, but I do like to trade them every other week out there because it gets a little messy to try to deal with weekly options. You get a better view on basically giving yourself at least one expiration in between to be able to capture more premium, and also to allow these trend bands to actually work. So that's what I want to talk about, Phil. I don't know if you want to add anything to that. You're the architect behind some of these, and we collaborated on the Ranger, and we think these are really good tools for people. And we did another podcast where we talked about trading's not hard, it's difficult. And what we mean by difficult is that if you ignore the rules, you pay for it.
Yeah, the thing I'll add here is that, this is not only a good long-term stock play that's going to appreciate over time, but Bob's giving you a method of generating yield. And a lot of you guys have heard a lot about crypto yields and, institutions like BlockFi blowing up. They were reckless in how they approached the yield game. This is a much more responsible approach, and it also caps your risk. But so you have this stock, you can sell options, and it's not that difficult. If you join up, Bob can show you exactly how it's done. But essentially, you're going to get paid for owning that stock, that amount of stock in a company like Southwestern, or there's other companies too. But Bob's basically got this methodology down now where you're going to appreciate over time with just a stock, and you're going to earn basically a yield, an APR that's going to blow away anything that you're going to get at a bank, because it compounds as well. So I think people don't realize you can do that with stocks, that especially if you really like something long term, like let's say you're a fan of Disney or whatever it is, this can be done on that as well. I think people underestimate what Bob has set up here as far as long-term portfolio growth. It's really, really powerful. So that's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, and people it's not like it's a new idea. It's just that people forget, and one thing, because people always ask us all the time, like, oh, I want to get into option trading, and I'm like, well, you probably really don't. You want to sell options, and this is where you actually this is where you make the money. You want to be on the same side of the bankers. They're they're sellers of options. They're not buyer of options. Yep. And so if you can make a good yield selling options instead of buying them, and nice thing about this is, a $7 share stock, they're giving you $15,000, with doubling your margin. You pay a little bit of interest rate on that, but as you can see, when you start looking at these option premiums, and you know, for people that know the delta, you know, I'm between 40 and 60 on these deltas, you know, so we're right thick in the middle of this. I like to pick stocks that you know you want to own if you're like a widow kind of a thing. So I'm not out chasing, you know, crazy stocks on this stuff, and you want to have enough volatility, if you will, you know, ATR, average true range, price movement, that the option premiums are worth your while to trade. And, you know, if you get something that never moves, the premiums just dry up on you. And so it's not worth trading, but you want to get something that's moving enough. And right now, natural gas is in the zeitgeist, and there's a lot of action on this thing, and it's like a yo-yo. It's been between 6 and 750 now. Just go back and look at the charts, and I just sat there and I'm like, oh, this is just too easy, and just keep trading it. And you know, my daughter's happy. That's all I can say. So anyway, I want to share that with you. We'll show you these other charts too in the future, and these things pop up. I want to educate you. Number one, number two, there's a lot of good strategies out there, and then number three, I want you guys to join us, because this is the kind of stuff that we put out all the time.
Yep. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. And if you have any comments, please leave them below. We'll see you on the next video. Take care.
Trade Genius.